Hi, I'm Christine Hill, and I'm just wanting to talk about my personal wood carving journey, and I'd like to welcome you all to the International Association of Woodcarvers.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the International Association of Woodcarvers. Today is Saturday, the 4th of May, 2024. And appreciate you all taking time out as usual to come in and join us on our live meeting today. Looks like we're going to have a big show. I appreciate everybody's understanding as far as us taking off last week. I went down to the Charlotte, North Carolina show, as I was saying just a few minutes ago, and was able to take in that show down there, which was really nice. I got a chance to see a lot of good carvings, meet up with some of the CCA guys down there, see some old friends that I haven't seen in a while. And I really encourage you all, if you haven't done it already, try to get out to a wood carving show in your area. It's a good opportunity to network. It's a good opportunity to get your creative juices flowing and get some new ideas, and just take advantage of that if at all possible. This week on our meeting, we've got Christine Hill that's going to be coming on with us in a few minutes. Before we turn it over to her, I'll tell you a little bit about our schedule that's coming up. Because this is May, we'll have meetings through the 25th of May, and then starting in June, we're going to move into our summer series. And if you all followed along with us through the years, in the summertime, the viewership kind of drops off a little bit. We stop having as many people come on because other people have stuff during the summer to go out and do, and they're on vacation, that kind of thing. So in our summer series in June, July, and August, we'll have one meeting a month. We'll also do some other things, probably some fun stuff through social media, just try to continue to generate interest. And then in September, we'll pick back up on our weekly meetings. One of those weekly meetings is going to be the Carving the Rockies show. We'll be going out to Colorado Springs in September and broadcasting live out there to the at the CCA show. If you haven't made reservations to get out there, you need to go ahead and try to make reservations to get out to that show. Again, it's September 14th and 15th in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's the only caricature show in the world, and you'll see some of the best caricature carvers and carvings out there at that show. So try to make plans to be out there. There's also going to be a school of caricature carving on September the 16th through the 18th at the same location. If you're interested in signing up for that, go out to the CCA website and get signed up. I think classes are filling up pretty quick. I think there's maybe a handful of spots left. So if you want to do that, make sure you go out and sign up for that. Next week on our meeting on the 11th of May, we're going to have Kyle York come in. If anybody's familiar with KJ Carving on Instagram, that's Kyle York. On the 18th of May, we're going to have Block and Knife, Cody Bonham. He's going to be coming in with us. And then on the 25th of May, Reese from Woody Wood Spirits is going to be on for us. In June, on June the 22nd, that's going to be our meeting in June. And we're going to have Scarecrow Woodcrafts that's coming on. He's a guy who travels around the world, and he plays music and he carves and he teaches wood carving. And it's going to be an interesting show. So I've lined him up for the June show, and look forward to having him on the 22nd of June. So having said all that, as we normally do, we're going to have Dave Stetson come in. He's going to give us our words of wisdom today. And then I'll turn it over to Christine Hill right after that.
Thanks, Blake. Hello, all. That when we watch a video like we're doing right now, and we get to share or listen to other carvers and what they do, we tend to soak that in, and take it, what can I get from this? And we're almost like a catcher in a baseball game, receiving the ball on every pitch. But you don't want to go just like a catcher in a ball game. You don't want to go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands, because occasionally you need to throw something back. And those are words from Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou has a perception of life that that I find very, very warm and comforting, and just a very, very special insight into the human nature and the world we live in. So yeah, she says, basically just says you shouldn't go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands, because you need to be able to throw something back. And that's where the sharing comes in. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. We appreciate those words of wisdom. And while we've got Dave with us, I want to remind you all, Dave's going to have a class starting on June the 1st. It's wood carving, 5-piece cowboy and friends. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Dave. He'll get you signed up, tell you everything you need to participate in that class. I believe it's 2 weekends, Saturday and Sunday, both weekends. Great opportunity to learn, even if you can't get out to sit down in a live class. I think it's pretty much better than that, because you get to see everything that the instructor's doing. You also get a recording, so you can go back and rewatch it. You can't do that in a live class. So take advantage of that. Remind you about Woodcarving Academy. There's classes that's been held in the past that's been recorded, that's out on Woodcarving Academy, and you can subscribe, go out there and learn at your own pace. So make sure you take advantage of that. Check out Woodcarving Academy. You can subscribe 1 month, 3 months, or a year. And it's probably, other than in a live class, it's the best opportunity to learn wood carving and all the different styles of wood carving out there. So make sure you check it out. Again, today on our meeting, we've got Christine Hill. Christine reached out to me. She was interested in coming on, presenting. She's coming to us live from Indiana. She has a wood carving studio called Little Patch of Heaven. She's considering starting her own wood carving club. And is really enthusiastic about carving. So, Christine, we're happy to have you on today. We're going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I just want to talk a little bit about how I kind of got started in wood carving. I was a graphic designer for 27 years, many, many years ago, and I've always had a love for art. I think one of my biggest inspirations was my graphic arts instructor, who I've been friends with for over 40 years now. I have 2 grown children, one who's serving in the military after 14 years now, and then another one that lives about an hour away. And the graphic field, as you all know, there's so many things that people can do on their own now with this computer technology for everyone. It kind of went by the wayside. So I went back to school around 45 years old and became a nurse aide. And then a few years later, ended up being an independent provider for special needs adults, and truly enjoyed that, to be an inspiration in their life. Like I said, I've always loved art, and but never really had the time to do that, working and raising my children, and they're involved in 4-H and all kinds of sports and all of that stuff, and taking care of my mother as well through the years. So I have a friend that their children and my children, showed in 4-H, went to school together and so forth. And he was a carver and still is a carver. I don't know if you know him. His name is Dave Neely, and he really specializes in his Santa Clauses. Is what he really likes to do. So I was just so impressed, and just it fascinated me to see what he could do with a piece of wood. And again, through the years, I just didn't have time to really know where to start or to get serious about it. But anyway, Darke County, Ohio is the Great Darke County Fair is one of the biggest fairs in the United States. And several years ago, there was a gourd show there, and I was pretty adamant about going and seeing what that was all about. And it was a lot of very, very talented people in designing different pieces on gourds, making instruments with gourds. So this was probably one of my very, very first pieces dealing with art that I ever did. It was fun and all that. And then again, my friend Dave said, "Oh, if you think this is cool, you really need to go to the Dayton Artistry and Wood," which sadly, 2019 was the last year for that. So I hope that we can bring it back again. But yes, he was very, very, he was correct to see the art that people can come up with. The creativity and the talent is just mind blowing. And I don't know very many others that are around anymore, these artistry and woods. But anyway, so I thought, this is what I want to do. I love this. This is what I want to do. So in the meantime, I met up with a couple of people there at the Dayton Artistry and Wood and said, "How do you learn to do this?" And he's like, "I teach." And so me and a friend of mine decided, okay, we'll go give it a try. So, but being as busy as I was, it was really hard to get there. And I found that I wasn't really getting what I wanted to get out of it. So I decided I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. And I'm not a traditional carver by any means. I'm not a fast carver. But one of the very first things that I did, and this is a rough out by Don Worley, great guy. And he does a lot of the faces. And of course I did the Indians. So this is my take on Don Worley's rough out of an Indian. And of course I changed it up a little bit. And these are nails from a wolf or a coyote. So that was really, really fun. And so I decided that, when I could get serious about my own carving, I wanted to be able to have my own designs, my own kind of art. I really don't want to copy anyone's art. So, so being said, I started out kind of small and wanted to do some Christmas ornaments for my grandchildren. I have two grandchildren, 1 2 and 1 5, but they're not really all pertaining to Christmas. It's more about them and what they like. So these are a couple here that haven't been finished yet, but this is one that was my grandson's, and he loved dinosaurs and the little things on the back. That's just a plastic lid is all that is. So of course I like to incorporate some burning and, to add some detail in there. And I think it's important, for people to sign their pieces. Again, this is another piece was for my grandson, a little giraffe there. They're not painted yet, but, so that's kind of how I started out, kind of coming up with my own designs and my own pertaining to them and what they like. I'd say 5 or 6 years ago, a dear friend of mine, he collects staffs, walking staffs, and he asked me if I would design one for him. And so I'm like, ooh, I've never done this before, but I'll give it a whirl. So I came up with this piece here that he loves bighorn sheep. And so I incorporated that into the staff for him. And this is wood. And I just kind of, I guess you could just use some kind of a dowel rod or something like that to insert that. And I use some leather there to kind of hide that. And then I like to add some detail into the piece and, some bighorn sheep in the mountains. And I have some color in there as well. And then of course, where you can actually hold on to the piece as you're walking. And again, so far down the staff, you'll see some art of some bighorn sheep in the mountains there. And he was just in awe, which really means a lot to me. And he tells me even to this day, it's still his favorite staff. So that's awesome. Another thing I did for my mother-in-law at the time, this is just, I'm not really sure what kind of wood this is, but she's small and she loves hummingbirds and butterflies and things like that. So again, I just, that's wrapped leather, and I wet the leather, and then you're able to stretch it. And then when it dries, it kind of shrinks right to that handle. So I incorporated some color into this piece, some rocks, some stones. I don't know if you can see those, but there's some stones in there, flowers, and lots of color there. And that was really fun. And again, this is an early piece, back in 2015. So, not really sure where I wanted to go with my style. So, I've been to a couple of roundups through the years, and one of them was Everett, Michigan. I've been to that one time, and this is just a photograph, but this is kind of the style that a fella had. We did a class with him of a bird. It was a cardinal, but this is my take on his kind of his design. I kind of changed it up a little bit and did this one for an ant, and kind of made the beak 3D there. But what I really like to work on, I think what is becoming my favorite style of art is relief carving. And the reason I say that is because I've had both my hands worked on. I've had didn't have cartilage in my thumbs and just no strength. And it amazes me how people can just push that knife through, and I just have a terrible time. I can do some things, like the ornaments I talked about, but I prefer relief carving. So this is a piece here that I'm doing for my oldest son, who is in the military, like I said, and it's been a work in progress because I don't get to see him very often, and I was trying to wait till he actually they bought a home. So he's a big time bass fisherman. He loves that. That's just how we raised our kids. And this is a deep relief. This is, about 1.5 inches or so deep. And so again, I don't have any patterns. When I decide I want to do a piece, I go to Pinterest or calendars. I collect calendars because there's such great art in calendars, whether it be in photography or line drawing or painting. But Pinterest, I think, especially nowadays, is a great source for finding art if you have a subject that you really want to focus on. And this is another piece that I did several years ago for my mother, who's now passed. And we used to have horses, and this is a horse that we had, a stud. And again, this is I'm not sure how old this is, but anyway, 2019, there it is. So so I did that for her as a gift. For her, it's kind of like that willow tree thing, figurines that they have. This piece here is one that was kind of done as a joke, I guess you would say. My boys, they have a little fishing contest in the spring that they have family members involved in, and said, "Hey, Mom, why don't you carve us a silly trophy, for whoever gets the most bass or the biggest weight, whatever that may be." But I'm not really into goofy stuff too much, but I came up with, this is a fillet knife that I came up with, and, piece of cedar with some a deer antler. And so I decided I would do my take on a bass, a fishing bass, and it's actually a fillet knife. And I made the sheath and, you know, did some water design in there. But again, the plastic here, this is just from a lid off of you know, a lid that you would get from Walmart or something like that. And I burned in the detail of the fins, and I did that by just putting my burner on very, very low, just enough to melt, you know, a little design in there, a little texture. So the fillet knife, you can buy blanks, of course. So, and the sheath, again, I just made it out of aluminum and some beads or whatever. So, of course, my youngest son actually won that contest. So this is his piece. A dear friend of mine, let's see, my graphic arts instructor, who is now 90 and is still just a wonderful inspiration in my life, gave me my first koi when I put in my koi pond. And so as a gift to them, I designed this piece here of koi. And this is a piece of catalpa that someone gave me. And I just wanted it to be very unique, and these koi kind of have their own little personalities there. And as you see, you know, they all have some fins. And again, this is wood. I carved that out of wood, and then did some burning in there, some detail and all that. And I had a person ask me, how do you know when something's actually done? Well, I guess as an artist, you know, when you feel it's done, then it's done. There's really no secret to it. I've had people ask me, you know, how did you learn to do this? And I it's kind of a joke, but I just call it from Wing It University. I just wing it. And like I said, I'm very slow. So takes me a little longer probably than some people, but I just wing it. Another dear friend of mine who I took care of her son, her special needs adult son, for many years. And through the years, we became very, very close. We actually went to school together. But her father was the fire chief for 33 years in Arcanum, Ohio. And so as a gift and a memorial for her father, I did this piece for her. And this is the actual logo up here of the Arcanum Fire Department. And so his number here, as you see, was 3, and it has his name. And so I incorporated in the fireman's prayer, which is really, really cool. And I just burned that on. I really love the look of the live edge. I just really finishes a piece off. So I really love that. So another dear friend of mine, I'm really, really blessed, I have to say. I have a lot of dear friends, and I'm so thankful for that. But another dear friend of mine that actually has known me since I was 2 years old, their last name is Fox. And they lost their middle child, which she's my age, a couple of years ago. And so this is kind of a little memorial piece, I would say, of a young fox. And the cardinal there represents their son. And as you can see, there's some deep relief, you know, in there. There's a lot of texture. I like to incorporate color as much as I can. And she was very, very excited about this piece, and I was pleased. But again, every piece that you do, I don't really care who you are. I think that you're always in the back of your mind, you're always looking for a way to improve yourself. You're never satisfied. At least I'm not. I'm a perfectionist, so I want it to be as perfect in my mind to give to someone as I can. So, and that's that piece. Um, I just recently finished this piece, and I decided, because a lot of people tell me that, oh, you need to sell your pieces, and I don't. But I thought, if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to concentrate on the things that I love. And then when I finish that piece, I'll put it out there for sale. And if someone's interested in it, wonderful. I have a lot of people, ask the question of how do you price a piece? And I myself have asked my graphic arts instructor. He's also an artist, oil painting. And, he tells me it's whatever you think that you're worth per hour. Well, we all know that we think that we're worth a lot. So, but we're never going to get that, that hourly rate out of it. And so I try to be reasonable. I have sold a couple of pieces, and I'm blessed and thankful for that. But I think the biggest thing that I want to get accomplished is for me to get my art out there and for people to know who I am. And it's not about the money. That helps, so you can continue to buy all the supplies that you need to continue to do what you love. So this piece here is, I had horses, and like I said, with this one carving I did for my mother. And so I decided I was, going to do a horse. And I don't know if you can see there, but you can see those at the eyelashes there, just a little bit. There's some eyelashes. A little more dimensional, I suppose. So that's the last piece that I finished. I'm pretty pleased with it. Of course, I had to redo it 3 different times because I have no painting background, just like I have no painting or no carving background. So yeah, I like that one a lot as well. So let me see, what else do I have? I do have a couple of pictures here. Now, I'm involved with the Tip City, Ohio Woodcarving Club. A lot of people there, you probably know Dick Belcher and Don Worley, Jim Foster. There's a bunch of them involved, and we have a great time. But there was a gal there a couple of weeks ago, had come in and asked us if we would be interested in carving female military figurines. A lot of people like to do with the military men, but this lady in particular was a retired Vietnam veteran who actually fought in the war. So, and she asked us to do this as a donation to help towards a fundraiser for the female veterans, retired veterans in San Antonio, I think it is. And they have a place there where they house female veterans or homeless veterans, and provide, their necessities and a place for them to stay until they can get on their feet, which is absolutely wonderful. And I think we forget about those female people that were in the wars, and they did just as good a job as the males as well. So this was my take on a female veteran, and I didn't really give her much of a face, but the flag there, that's an actual button from Joanne Fabrics. So I thought it turned out pretty well, and we had a couple other people who donated some pieces for that auction, and I guess we'll wait to hear how well they did for them in their fundraiser. And then this other piece here I did for a nephew that him and his wife had a time having children. So they just had a little girl. She's about 6 months old. Her name is Josie, and they have horses. So this is my little gift to little Miss Josie there. So she's a miracle baby. But does anybody have any questions or anything like that they'd like to know?
Hey, Christine, I know you said you didn't have a background in painting, but can you tell us a little bit about how you do paint?
Oh, well, I use acrylics. And I have some oil paint that I'd really like to get into, but I just am not knowledgeable enough about it. But I use acrylics, just the cheap acrylics from Walmart. And I just kind of sit there at my table, and there's really no rhyme or reason. If you decide of a color that you want to use or something in your mind, I just use that color. And if I don't have it, I just try to mix it and make it as close as I can to what I'm really looking for. Now, there is a product that Don Worley had told me about, and you can get it at Hobby Lobby, and I don't have it in front of me. I'd have to go get it. But for the eyes, where you can have it, I mean, it looks like an actual eyeball. It's glossy, and it looks like, when your eye is wet. And so I can take a minute and go get that after a bit. I like to use a lot of metallic acrylic. I just love the look of it. A lot of the pieces that I do, even after I would put a metallic or pearlescent, I still like to do a little bit of a shimmer on the whole piece, depending on what it is. And sometimes I incorporate, gel pens, markers, whatever, your mind can think of. If you're not getting the effect you want by one product, try something different. So I've used a lot of different things. And then to finish it off, I use like a gloss, depending on the piece, or a satin of a Krylon water-based spray. And I don't have an area really where I lay things out to spray. I just use old pizza boxes, set it in there, and kind of keeps everything in that area there. And when they get too yucky, you just pitch them out. So so like I said, this piece here was catalpa, which is really a lot like butternut. The grain of it, the way it carves. The piece here that I did for my mother, that's butternut as well. Butternut's beautiful, actually, just to stain it. And then this piece here, again, I try to if I don't have something, I try to make it. The eye of the horse is an actual bead, a glass bead. And I just cut it in half, and it looked like an eye. So worked great for me. Let me see.
There's a couple more questions in the chat.
Yeah.
And they kind of go together. So one, where do you get your wood, especially for the relief carvings? And the other one is, do you use one piece of wood, or do you use multiple pieces kind of glued together? So
no, I use one piece of wood. I just prefer that. I prefer to use about 1 to 2 inch, depending on what it is. The piece that I'm doing for my son, like I said, that's a pretty thick piece. That's about 2 inches. And I got that wood. I don't think he's in business anymore. But I think that you could get these pieces. There's a fellow that I work with out of Wisconsin, Wilcox Wood, and his name is Rod Wilcox. And, I just, call him and order what I need, and he sends it to me, and he doesn't do, credit cards or anything like that. He trusts you to send him a check. So, which is very nice, because a lot of people don't do that anymore. But so I basically get my wood from him now, especially the live edge ovals. I just really prefer that. So, and I used to get pieces, again, at the Art Stream Wood when it was there. I always go to the Fletcher, Ohio Poor Farmers Buckeye Wood Carving Roundup. It's great. If y'all have if you're in this area, it's let me see, it's in the end of July, and I've got that there on my refrigerator. They have several people that you can take classes from. It's $15 to go. You can camp, but you have to pay extra for that. There's supplies there for you to purchase if you need to. Some people, there's not a whole lot of wood suppliers, but I've had some pieces that I've gotten from Heineke Wood, but I think they had a fire a few years ago, so I really don't know what's available for them. I was having a hard time getting the ovals that I like. So I get those from Wilcox. And I'm not really into gluing them up, not really into that too much. So
I have a question. This is Mitch from New York. I'm living right off the Hudson River, upstate New York. My son and daughter-in-law, they got married last year, and they just moved into a brand new house. And
great.
My daughter-in-law loves penguins.
Oh yeah.
And they asked if I could do a relief carve of a penguin or penguins. So I did some sightseeing for this. So here's a penguin on paper. Okay. Photograph.
Let me see if I can get you in here and look at it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to find you. Okay. Yeah.
Right there. Thanks.
Yeah.
So I've done relief before. I've done a couple. One of my dog here, but my question is, I'm not sure how thick I should start out with the blank piece of wood. I would go with the basswood, 3 inches, whatever. Then how deep?
How large are you thinking about making it?
Oh, probably about 12 by 14 inches, something like that.
And are you thinking about the live edge? Or are you thinking about something like that?
Well, I love the live edge. Oh, I love, Blake, you guys are doing a great job of this. I love that live edge because their home was built in 1895.
Okay.
So they've got a lot of wood all over. So that would really go, but I don't know what type of wood or whatever to do that oval. Yeah.
So, like I said, I get these are basswood ovals that I get from Wilcox Wood. He's out of Wisconsin. His name is Rod. And I can get that information for Blake or whatever to put on here somehow to get to you guys. Or I can, let's see, I don't know if I have it on there or not. But
if you just want to send it to me, I can post it on our social media.
Yeah. And you just give him a call, and if you don't get a hold of him, he'll call you back. So I normally, he doesn't go real thick. I say, anything that's an inch, little over an inch, if you can get me that. And I like the sizes that are about 11 by 19 or 20. That's the size that I prefer. So, and if you're going to do the penguin, are you just going to kind of carve the penguin, and in the background put in some color to show us some ice and that kind of thing?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I think a 1 inch or a little over that, I think that would work fine. You don't really need to go extremely thick in order to get the effect that you want as a relief. And I'm learning that, when I was doing this one here for my son, I thought, I gotta go really, really thick, to be able to get the look that I want, but you really don't.
See, that's why I asked about the thickness, because I normally would use an inch, but when I saw that, I said, that's definitely got to be more than the inch to get The
Yeah,
depthness
this is
in
about
that.
2 inches right here.
Yeah,
That's about 2 inches. But you know, the other thing I like about the ovals is the fact that it's got that live edge all the way around. I really, really like that. But I can get that information to Blake. And I think if you just stick with that, that 1 inch, you know, maybe a little over, I think you'll get the effect that you want.
thank
Yeah.
you. That's great.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. Love the
Sure.
presentation. Thank you.
Sure. Great. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Hey, Christine, another question. I know you're talking about using hand tools and the fact that your thumbs are kind of messed up and you've had work on your hands. So do you do power carving, or is it with a mallet and larger
Well,
tools?
let me show you. I'm going to try to show you. Now this is my little station that I work with here. It's in my living room, as you can see. And I just made that board. See the board with all the holes in it? I drilled them holes. I just made a grid and then I drilled those holes. And then these here just pegs that you would make a shelf out of. And then I just kind of, you know, put it where I want it to hold my piece in. And this is a piece that I'm working on right now. Again, it's only about, you know, 1 inch thick, something like that. And then I have my tools right here with me. I like to put different art up that I want to try to incorporate into it and kind of, you know, get the feel of what it's supposed to look like as I'm carving it, that kind of thing. And then you can see where I kind of put my tools in those holes too sometimes as I'm working. Were you able to see that okay?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah. So, you know, you can just get you a piece of wood and drill some holes in it. I depending on how much wood I'm taking off, you know, I might use a mallet, but I don't really feel like I have a lot of control with a mallet. I don't like the look that it gives when you're tapping. I can't make it look nice and smooth. So, you know, when I use those little pegs, I can move my piece around and put the pegs in those holes, and I can use both hands and carve, you know, if I'm taking larger pieces off. So just to form out the dimensions of what I'm working on. And then then it gets a little slower when you start, you know, taking less and less and getting more and more detail. But like I said, I like to incorporate burning in my carvings because I think it adds to the detail and the depth and all of that in it. So, you know, of course, I think it's very important to make sure that your gouges or your knives, whatever you use, that you're continually honing them. You know, carve for 15 minutes, half hour, and then go hone them on a piece of leather, and just keep, and that keeps that edge on there pretty nicely, unless you know, kind of take a nick out of it. Then you got to go back to something a little more aggressive. But I also have a work sharp in the area where if I have a nick or something like that, I will go in there and take that off and gradually work my the grit of my sandpapers that all the way down to the leather. But yeah, I think it's very important, and it also makes carving a lot more fun when your gouges and your knives are sharp, and it's a lot less chance of you hurting yourself. And another reason why I like relief carving so much is because I don't have to wear a glove. But you know, of course, when I'm working on a piece like this for my grandchildren, I do wear a glove. It's very important, because right when you think that, oh, you know, I'm just taking just a little bit off, well, guess what? You've taken more than a little bit off, and next thing you know, you got to get stitches. So, but yeah, and then the other thing I do too, if people work in their house, I have like a little makeshift plastic bag there that I've taped to my table. I don't know if you can see that there. And it collects it'll collect my wood, so it's not getting all over my house. And then I've got my vacuum cleaner there if I want to take that fine stuff off of the piece that I'm working on, right there. So it's just me and my dogs. And so, I like to work in the living room and be with them because they don't like me out of their sight. So
hey, Christine, there's a lot of interest in the pegboard. What do you have that attached to? So if people want to do that.
Well, that table, I just got that like used marketplace. I don't know if you guys have marketplaces around where you're at, off of Facebook. And it's basically like a little computer table, pretty cheap. You could probably even get Amazon or something like that. And I'll try to get you a better look of it. Let's see here. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's good. Yep.
And I put these on here. It's just cardboard, and I cut it at an angle because it didn't stay as high as I wanted it to. And then I just use these clamps here, these blue clamps you get at Harbor Freight or whatever, to put that piece of, that's like an MDL or something like that piece. But you can use a nice piece of, or whatever it's called, press board. I don't know if I would use press board. I'd probably use something like a nicer laminated OSB or something like that. That's about an inch thick, but it sits right on top of that table. And so that kind of adds as a back to it. And then I just use those clamps. And then I have a couple of different lights again that very cheap, got them off of Amazon, and they're LED, so you can make them brighter if you want. So I try to, do it as inexpensively as I can. But yeah, that's how I do it.
And Karen put in the chat that the Buckeye Woodcarvers Roundup is July the 17th or the 20th at the Poor Farmers Campground in Fletcher, Ohio.
Yes. I have a brochure. If you'd like to see it, I can get it for you.
Will you be attending that show?
Yes, I will. Oh, absolutely. I won't miss it. I really enjoy it. And I'm going to be going to one. They just started this one back up. Let me go get that flyer real quick. Yeah, this one here is Central Indiana Woodcarver Roundup. It's June 6th through the 8th, Martha's Orchard. Now, I was told about it last year, and I was told they didn't have electric. Well, I spoke to the lady that actually owns it. It's a wedding venue, and her name is Joanne Rifkin. And again, there's the phone number. It's 317-839-0898. I gave her a call to find out if they did have electric, and she said they did, and water as well, but they do not have sewer, which is pretty common. Neither does Poor Farmers. And that is only $15 to go to that. I'm not sure what they will charge for camping. I don't know that. And here's the brochure for the 2014 Buckeye Woodcarver Roundup. It's really a great show. This is probably the 10th year that I've gone. A lot of fun, numerous teachers there. It's $20 if you have it in before June 30th, or it's $25 at the door. They have there's camping there. There's places for people can take a shower. There'll be supplies there. We have let's see, what's it called? Susie's oh, I'm not sure, but they have homemade ice cream. It's awesome. Burgers, all kinds of stuff. One night we do free pizza. Friday night we do an auction. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I've been going, this is probably my 10th year now. A lot of fun. So I hear that Everett, Michigan's going to have one this year too, but I do not know the dates. Floyd Ranigan might know that more than I would, but anyhow, I tried to write some things down to make sure I try to cover about everything. And one thing that I may not have covered, how to get your art or whatever you want, your design onto your piece. Now, again, I look on the internet for particular items, and if I'm like this one I'm doing now is a bear scene, in the woods or whatever. And if I like a certain kind of tree, or I want to know what these rocks look like, or that, so I will actually, I have a black and white printer. That's all I have. And I'll enlarge it or reduce it or whatever, if I can, in my computer. I don't have artsy programs. I sure wish I did, but they're so expensive. A lot of times I'll print it off my computer and then I'll resize it. I'll go to the library and spend 10 cents to resize it to the size that I want it. And then I'll lay it out on my piece. And basically I use carbon paper. I know a lot of people talk about not using carbon paper because you can't erase it, but I'm carving it. So it's not going to be on there anyway. And I think with carbon paper, I get a cleaner, line on there to really know where I need to be taking wood off. So I just use carbon paper and copies and cut things and place it wherever I want on that piece, and then trace it. And I have the image on there. If anybody else has a better idea of how to do that, I am all ears. I would love to know, because it's sometimes time consuming. And with any piece, whether it be in the round or whatever, you have to go back and draw things back on there, just so perspective and where things should be. I'm not as good as Dave Stetson is at giving all those details. He's an excellent instructor. So there's anything else that you'd like to know, or I can help you
Christy, this is Jack, and I really enjoyed looking at your wood burning and the fireman's prayer. What wood burning tips do you prefer for detail and for writing that script the way you did?
Okay. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I have, if you don't mind, do you mind if I go get a few? And I'll show them to you. Hold on.
While she's gone, I'll just remind you all again, next Saturday, we'll have Kyle York on, KJ Carving. That'll be the 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The same number on Zoom, 310-460-3575. So join us next week.
Okay. Let's see. These here they're kind of, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of a shader, but if you see, you've got that tip right here, very, very pointy, that I use that a lot. Let's see. Anything that's got that point, that real thin pointy area right there, that's what I use for doing writing like that. And again, I lay it out on the piece and I write it all, with pencil. That way, if there's any errors, you can fix that and make sure you proofread it. But anything that's, a thin, pointy tip like that, I would use for that. There is a writing tip. I don't know if you can see that. And sometimes, depending on how thick or thin I want the writing to be. There's like a ball, and there's one smaller than this that you can use. But I prefer the very thin pointy tip right there. So you can see how thin that is. And always, try it out on a piece of wood. I've always got a piece of this little wood hanging around so I can check how hot it is or how much it's going to burn before I actually put it on that piece. That's important because believe it or not every pin heats the same. So yeah. And this is another one you can use. It's curved a little bit, and some people prefer that. It's a shader as well, and they'll just kind of, tip it up when they're. I don't know if I can do that or not, but tip it up when they're writing. Did that answer your question?
Yes, very well. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hey, Christine, there's another message in the chat. They say that sometimes they print out the sketch or photo, put it face down on the wood, and then use a credit card to rub over it, and it transfers the image to the wood.
Really? With the carbon that came off of the
Yeah, and it says you can also resize the image on your computer. Use Canva. It's a free app, and it works great.
Canva?
C-A-N-V-A, Canva.
Canva. Okay, I appreciate that because, years ago I used to use, oh my gosh, Adobe and all that stuff, but CorelDRAW, that stuff's so expensive now. I mean, wow, there's got to be a cheaper way. So I appreciate that. And yeah, if anybody out there wants to, maybe sometime give an example on one of the videos of how to, the best way that they have found to put an image on a piece of wood that's much simpler and less time consuming as the way I do it. I'm open. I'm open for new things all the time. And I think it's great because we learn from each other. Everybody learns a way to do something. And I think it's great to share that skill. Makes it fun.
All right, we're coming up on an hour. Does anybody have any other questions for Christine or any comments or anything like that? I'm looking at the chat. Les Howard just said that you can subscribe to Photoshop. It's like $14.68, so that's a good opportunity.
Okay.
There is another post talking about transferring. There's a transfer paper that's wax free, and it's Saral, S-A-R-A-L makes it.
Okay.
And Keith Shoemaker said that Judy Woodruff turned him on to that. So
okay.
Maybe check that out also. Great.
I appreciate that.
And Les said that the 1468 was Canadian, so I don't know what the conversion would be on that, but it probably wouldn't be
on the
probably
Photoshop.
around $19 or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other questions for Christine today? Okay. Well, Christine, we always appreciate when somebody comes on and shares what they do. And your work is very unique. It's not like something where it's been duplicated by other people. It seems as though you come up with an idea, create it from scratch, and that's really something great that we try to share. Is a way to come up with your unique patterns, your own patterns, and turn them into your own carvings, and that's what it's all about. So
yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, I want to definitely thank you for coming on. Thanks for reaching out to me and volunteering and saying, hey, I want to come on. Give me some time and I'll do it. You're very generous with your skills, and we appreciate that. And I thank you for coming on. And again, you're welcome back anytime. So,
all right. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's fun.
Absolutely. Remind you all, we'll be meeting again next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Zoom. It's always the same number, 310-460-3575. Remind you about the workshop that's coming up with Dave Stetson June 1st. If you're interested in that, again, reach out to Dave and get signed up, and he'll make sure he gives you all the information you need to be able to go out and take that class starting in June. Again, I want to thank you all for coming on today. Christine, thank you again for coming on and sharing. This has been the International Association of Woodcarvers, where woodcarvers help woodcarvers, and we'll see you all next Saturday. Thank you.
You can
Okay.
do as many takes as you want.
Okay.
And so if you mess up, you're like, stink, I'll go back and do it again. That's fine.
Okay. Well, you just tell me when.
Well, we'll go and let's just say 3, 2, 1. That was perfect.
She's a pro.
If that was good.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Hoot and holler. It's all good. All right.
Okay.
Well, if you're comfortable and good with that, I'll stop and we won't do another one.
Yeah, whatever you think. I guess you can play it back or whatever.
Well, I won't play it back until this evening. I just watched it live.
Okay.
So-
Okay.